Queens and all the motherfuckers that laid it down, the foundation, you know what I'm saying? Number love for the old school, that's what we're gonna do this one for, you feel me?
What you stumbled into. This is Talk Yo Shit Comedy.
I remember Mr. Magic Flash, Grandmaster Cass, LL, raising hell, but at the last 7 year Rock Kim was the shit to me. I flipped to see a Junkie Fresh show with Ricky D and Red Alert was putting in work. And Chuck Chill had my homies on the hill getting ill when shit was real. Without the still remember raw with Daddy Kane when De La Soul was putting.
Alright, you guys ready for your next comedian? This little chica I have not seen before, but she came highly recommended. That's how you know the bitch good. Okay? Yes! Give it up one time for Blake!
First off, how's everybody doing? I like shirts when the mic is wireless. It's nice. It gives you like freedom to, walk around, do what you want. So unfortunately, I've been going on a lot of dating app dates. Can anyone relate? Anybody like Hinge, Bumble, Tinder? You know what? I've been doing it all wrong though. What I'm gonna look for next time I go on a date is, does he have a hoe bag? And is it designer? Is it Louis V? Man, so I met this guy on Hinge, and during the dinner date, I asked him what his favorite film was, and he said Insidious. Has anyone seen that movie?
Yes.
So I'd never seen it before. I don't really like horror films because I get scared really easily, but he said this was his favorite movie, so I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. You can come back to my place, we'll rent it, whatever. Sure enough, 10 minutes in, I'm just terrified, right? Because there was a guy in my apartment with horrible taste in movies. Yeah, weird. So before that, I meet this guy, again on Hinge. We go out to dinner, and he tells me he's like a crypto bro. Does anyone in here buy crypto, do all that? No one? Okay, great, perfect. Because I'm about to make fun of him, so I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So he asked me this really weird question during dinner. He was like, do you have any NFTs? I was like, no, I don't have any of those, but I'm glad you bring this up because there's this other 3-letter acronym that I was going to ask if you had any of those, because some of them are not curable. And he got really, really offended by this. And he got very defensive. He was like, do I seem like someone who would have that, blah, blah, blah? And I was like, do you really want me to answer that? You spent your life savings on a JPEG of a monkey. You're probably not risk averse. I was seeing this other guy, and it was going pretty well, until the morning after the third date. I'm on my way out, and he was like, you seem great and all, but I just want to make sure we're both on the same page. I only date girls who would give me a threesome. And it kind of stung, but I had to answer the question, so I stopped, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, I really want this to work. I want to make you happy, so yes, I could get used to having a second guy.
Yes.
Apparently that's not what he meant, which really confused me. I was like, that's weird because last night, you couldn't even please one girl. So why do you want a second girl? It kind of just sounds like you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yes. Tell him.
So I went on a date with a guy in, I guess he's in Tulsa remote. He moved here from LA. And I asked him, I was like, so what's your favorite restaurant in Tulsa so far? And he was like, don't judge me, I know it's basic, but I really like the Brook.
Oh my God.
And, as much as I wanted to judge him, I realized, you know what, he grew up in Brentwood. The Brook is probably the first time he ever had mac and cheese that wasn't gluten-free. But I was like, okay, that's American food. How is the ethnic food here? Have you, tried any other cuisines that you like? He was like, oh yeah, I really, really like Mi Cocina. I was like, that's a chain restaurant, but if you like Mexican food, you should really check out some of the restaurants in East Tulsa.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we've got one over there.
There you go. Perfect. Wait, what? East Tulsa?
Yeah.
What's it called?
La Torta Loca.
Perfect.
Shout it out. Shout out La Torta Loca.
La Torta Loca.
Let him say it. Let him say it.
Yeah, so I told him, I was like, East Tulsa, that's where all the good ethnic food is. And he was like, oh yeah, perfect, like I live in East Tulsa. I was like, okay, whereabouts? He goes, oh, I'm right by TU. Long story short, I actually got catfished. He doesn't even live in Tulsa. He was just like here for the weekend, and like I only have myself to blame. Like no one who actually lives in Tulsa has ever said that Mi Cocina is their favorite restaurant. Do you guys ever go to Nam Hai?
Yes.
You know that restaurant in the front, funny?
Yes.
I went on a date there one time with a guy, and he admitted to me, he was like, so I actually brought you here because, you know, I know you're half Asian, and I wanted to impress you. Like, I wanted to show you that I know my authentic Asian food. And I was like, you know, I appreciate the gesture, but you know, you're gonna have to do better than that. Like, let's take a lap around Nam Hai. Like, let me see you put a meal together. Thank you. I'm so glad that you guys liked that joke and didn't get upset, because the first time I ever got heckled was that joke. Like, someone was very mad about that. He was like, at least you tried. And I was like, well, at least I only told you the least embarrassing thing he did. So I got a younger cousin who's in Gen Z. Do we have any Gen Zers here? Okay.
Thank God.
Right. So she told me that she recently started dating a bud tender. And I was like, okay, I used to date one of those too when I was your age. But back then we called it a drug dealer. Yeah, the kids these days, they just don't know how good they have it, having like a dispensary on every corner, right? Like, you know how grandparents are always like, we walked 15 miles in the snow. When I become a grandparent, I'm gonna be like, I drove 15 miles to meet the weed man. Times were so tough back then, all we could find was Reggie. We used to pick out the seeds and stems with our bare hands. So do we have any millennials in the building? Yeah. What about Gen Xers? Okay, that's okay. So the thing about millennials, I really do feel like we get the short end of the stick on a lot of things, particularly electronic music. So Gen Xers, like you guys got the whole like 90s underground scene. And then of course Gen Zers, like EDM became mainstream just in time for you all. Me as a millennial, the coolest song I ever did ecstasy to in high school was Sandstorm. Oh man. So I'll wrap up with this. I'm going to talk a little bit about being half Asian. So I typically don't get a lot of like Asian audience members, you know, performing in Tulsa, but there was this one time where I did an open mic and like more than half of the crowd were Asian people, and they were all from Fresno. I guess they had moved here to like work in the cannabis industry. So you know, usually when you do an open mic, you try to like test new material, but I'm like, it's the Asian crowd. Like I gotta do the Asian bit, right? And everything was going just as planned until I get to the Asian bit and it bombs. You know, which is so much worse than the whole set bombing. Like, no, it was only the Asian bit that the Asian audience laughed at. And this was back in May, you know, so just to add like insult to injury, May is AAPI Heritage Month. So that was like the only part they like actually cheered for, was when I said, oh, happy AAPI month. Oh man, but that was, you know, a very harsh realization, because I realized, okay, like white people like me, but Asian people seem to think I suck. So this must be what it feels like to be Pei-Wei. All right, thank you all. I'm late.